Okay, we are live with our Migrant Women Reality Watch. Thank you everyone for being here today. There isn't any people joining in now, but we hope that throughout the broadcast you will join. If you are experiencing bad internet connection from site, please do let us know in the comments. Hani, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, perfect. So yes, welcome everyone to Reality Watch. As you, because we did last these 6 days of activism, months, to take the space and different forms of male violence, women and girls. Particular focus on micro because these are the women we fight for all throughout our work. So today I am. She is from Iran, but lives in Finland, where she works for our Monika Association. It's based in Helsinki. Hopefully, will tell us more about the association a bit later on. But yes, I wanted to remind our being live streamed from Facebook page. You share later on. It will be uploaded onto our Facebook page. So feel free to subscribe as well to Facebook page and to share the this recording as much as you want. Okay. Um, if you have any questions for Hani, please write them in the chat. I will do my best to address them throughout the talk or at the end of the talk. Keep in mind that we are a bit worried about time today, so if you address them, please don't be mad. I will obviously do my best. So yeah, without further ado, today we have with us Hani from Monika Association. As I said before, Hani is from, and it is there that she studied clinical psychology, and it is she specializes in trauma therapy. Back in Iran, Hani volunteering with children in prostitution, children who have also undergone very complex trauma, and she had also volunteered with families who are dealing with chronic illnesses. But now with the Monika Crisis Center, Hani works mostly with migrant women who are suffering of post and very complex traumatic stress disorder. She accompanies those women throughout situation of mental and physical crisis. So basically, today's talk is going to be a discussion that we mostly centered about, sorry, domestic and violence, the work that our member organization does with migrant women who are victims of male violence, and also the support the organization gives whose mental health and well-being have been compromised in a way. So I'm just confirming, hear me fine?
Sometimes it's a little bit bad connection, so sometimes I hear, sometimes I don't.
Okay. Thing is, I'm one for the bad internet connection, but it's happening. Please bear with us if this is happening. Ask you to unmute yourself and then put yourself back on so I can check that hear an echo. Could you back on so I can check something?
I didn't hear.
Let me check. Okay. Basically, some echo. I don't know if this can be fixed. Understand? Maybe when I'm asking you the questions or when you stop talking, maybe you can mute yourself so we can reduce a bit of the echo. Great. Okay. Um, okay, I'm getting messages from my sister. Possible to hear what I say. Um, I hope I hope I hope people will be able to follow the talk. I don't know what to do at this point. Hang on. Give me just 1 second for. Okay. I'm getting confirmation things are getting better. So let's hope things are fine. Sorry about the technicalities. Okay, so Hani, I wanted first of all to give you the opportunity to present yourself. Also, if you could give us maybe if you could present the Monika Association, what it exactly, what do you do in Finland? How does the organization work? Those kind of things. If you could give us an insight for the people who don't know the Monika Association, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, as you said, my full name is Haniyeh Ozroudi, and I'm from Iran. But everybody calls me Hani because it's shorter and easier and more beautiful, I guess. So our organization is like a very big organization which consists of different parts, and it's working for like more than 20 years. Now, as much as I know, and based on like the last knowledge that I have, 142 people works in the whole organization, and we are consist of 13 other organizations that are related to us and one supported organization. But our whole crisis center is consist of three different parts. One is the shelter, Mona, which we call it in Finnish turvakoti, which means like a safe place. This place is for women who have experienced violence immediately, like it happens now, or they are afraid that it's gonna happen. So they can call that shelter house and tell them their situation. It's like a very nice place, like hotel, I can say really, and it's in a secret address, so no one can know where they are, and they are gonna go and pick them up. They don't need to do anything, and the most important part is that they can get different social assist there for if they wanna do like the divorce process, if they want to do the police report. The most important is that when violence happen or it's going to happen, people go to like shock phase, and in that phase people don't know what to do. The most common symptom is freezing. They freeze, like they don't know what to do because it's a lot of fear, and naturally, based on like the natural, when we see a wolf we freeze and we don't know what to do. It's the same when we face violence from a person who we love and who is our partner, so we freeze, we don't know what to do. At that moment it's good that people know they can call our shelter and ask for help. Just they say that they are experiencing Vakivolta, they need immediate help, and the rest of the work is with our shelter. And the workers who work there, they are so experienced and they can work with women very well. Women can also bring their children there, so there's like no worry about their children. It's actually what we recommend, to bring their children with them. Our other part is the part that I'm involved with, which is our crisis center. When the violence happens or when it's gonna happen, or women who face violence for a very long time, they will go to a crisis mood, which it's on me and my colleagues to work in that situation. And we provide different helps for that situation. Our other part is integration part. Many times people stuck in the situation that they are in is because they don't know how to get out of their loneliness. They don't know how to get out of that isolation that environment provide for them. So that part helps them with language, finding a job, and being in a group of people that have experienced the same situation. So it can really help, but it's usually after they are out of that violence situation, they feel a little better, and now they can focus on themselves, like learn the language. They can focus, because when you are in a violence situation, you cannot think really because you are in danger. But after they have used our shelter, they have used our psychosocial supports, yeah, that's the time that they can actually use our integration program too.
Okay, so just to be clear, there's like three different phases inside the crisis center that you say. So the first phase would be when they are facing an immediate, like on the spot situation, and that they need immediate urgency to take care of that situation. Then the second step, which is where you're working at, is when the situation is more or less stabilized, but you need to accompany the woman in the different demands that she has. And then the third stage would be when you break out that cycle of violence and that you need to take care of things that would stay long term in your life, such as integration, social services, and things like that. Correct?
Yes, exactly. We are with that woman from the time that she realized now it's time to get help. That's the first step. It's time for me to get help. Then our job starts, and we are with them for years. They are like many clients here, they have been here for years, because healing won't happen in just one night. It needs a lot of time.
Okay, so your precise role within the crisis center, what would it be? What is it exactly that you do in the crisis center?
Well, first of all, they need to realize what have happened to them. This is the most important thing. They come here, they really don't understand what has happened to them. They are so shocked, they are mad, they are sad. And because what they have been experienced, it has been for years. So it's the only word that they know. We have to actually tell them what has happened to them, and what they have been experiencing is not their fault, because many of them think that, what have I done that that person did this to me? This is so heavy because it comes from one intimate relationship. This is so much for a person. So what we actually do is to talk with them, what is violence, and what we usually talk about it, I also have it, like, is the cycle of violence. Yeah, and it helps them a lot to realize what is happening actually. So violence shows in different way. Many people knows violence as the physical violence, but no, unfortunately it's a lot more than that. Emotional violence, economical violence, religious violence, they are so much that people cannot even realize it. So they think that this is actually normal, this is what is happening in everyday life and in other people's life. So what usually abusers do is to isolate these women, their women, so they think that this is the only reality. So the first step is to get them out of that world that they have, it has been made for them, and say that no, you have been through violence, and it is it is not normal what you are experiencing now. All this sadness, all this anger, this is natural, and you have to feel them. So we actually connect them with themselves, because they lose themselves through that violence. This is the most important thing, that this is not them anymore. They usually come and say, I don't know who I am anymore. I just like, I'm just alive. I'm just breathing. I just live for my children. But I don't know who I am anymore. And many of them don't know that anger is a good thing. Sadness is a good thing. So we talk about their emotions. When they realize these things, they understand, wow, that's what has happened to me, and that wasn't my fault. And now, from this step, I can just focus on myself, because what violence do is they are all the time afraid of something, and they are all the time have this question mark, what is happening? So they cannot focus on anything else. This is something that we have to work on it, not in just one session, but it needs a long time to to figure it out, and the woman really understand what has happened to her. So the other thing is that they usually have some financial problems. In Finland, we have a lot of organizations and also the government itself that help women or families through these things. Because one thing that makes women to be like dependent to that violence and that abuser is that they are afraid what to do with money. Like, how can I provide my children? How can I provide myself? But fortunately, in Finland, we don't have this problem, and we help them actually through finding out that the government and other organizations are here to take care of your economical problem. There are lawyers that you can use, even if you don't have money to pay them. They are social workers. They are like other helps that government give you so you can provide yourself and your children. This is also another part that we help that through. And it's so important because when person is in a crisis situation, cannot think. So we actually help them to think better. And it's like one tree that is trying to grow, but it has been hurt. So we will be like that support, like this support, and this is the tree. Like we will be like this and help that tree to grow up.
That's a beautiful metaphor for the work that you do. Thank you for describing that. And as a psychologist, can you, I don't know, is there any resemblance or are there any, common things that you found when you were in Iran with the work that you do now? Because when we were talking, preparing for this interview, you told me that you used to volunteer with families dealing with chronic illness or children who were involved in prostitution. Do you think that these patterns of violence they repeat themselves even if it's not the same situation?
Um, I love this organization because it's multicultural. And exactly the problem is that they are in like we can say safe and free country, but they bring their culture here. I remember when I was in Iran, many people said like it's because of the society, the culture that we are acting like this. But I see it's the same even in here because they are coming with their culture with that much knowledge, and as I said, all they have been experienced is that violence, and their brain has built just that word. That's a small word, and getting out of that word is like so hard because they don't know how to do this because they come from that culture that they say you are here as a woman and you need another person like a man to support you. You are nothing. You are just here. So they come with that because changing that is so hard, and they don't have any help. Of course, you don't want to lose those patterns that you feel safe with them. It's like not a real safe, but that's the only thing that they can do. So in here, we actually are trying to tell them this is not the same situation that you were. So nowadays that they are like 70 different countries that women are coming from them. That's why I'm saying it's multicultural. And imagine they are all experiencing mostly the same things because the cultures are the same and they are based on this fact that men are here and women are here. And the beauty of this organization is that we want to say no, they are equal. If a man can get angry, you as a woman can get angry too. If a man can have money, you as a woman can have money too. You are just a human like that man.
Thank you. You kind of answered this already, but you say that you are a multicultural association, so you have a lot of nationalities of women coming in. Um, so would you say that the majority of women that you accompany and support, they are migrant women in Finland, or do you also have a certain number of Finnish women and girls that come to your association?
As I said, in Finland, they are like different organization. Our organization works with migrants. So if a Finnish woman also call us, we won't say no, don't call here, but we will direct them to the organization that is related to just Finnish women. And that's like the beauty of here. Everybody won't go to the other person's work, and everybody has like a specific work, a specific like responsibilities. Our responsibility is with migrant women who lives in Finland, and they don't know how to live in Finland actually. So, and they are like a lot. Like every year in our shelter, there are 300 people approximately, and for our crisis center is like 400 to 500 approximately, from like, as I said, 70 different countries, which is a lot because Finland is like, it's not very populated country, but fortunately people are learning to use helps, and this is so important. I'm so happy to that you are doing this, because I want to say that you don't need to be alone. You can ask for help, and this doesn't show that you are weak. This shows a strength.
Thank you, Hania. I wanted to jump a bit to more of the consequences of violence that you can see on the ground with Monika Crisis Center. In our network, we did a report on the mental health and well-being of migrant women, in which Monika Association participated. We talked with your colleague Basma, and in the report, she kind of gave us a little insight on the effects of domestic violence on migrant women and girls. But for the people who didn't have the occasion yet to take a look at that report, I was wondering if you could also tell us about the effect of this particular kind of violence, like intrafamiliar, intimate partner violence, domestic violence on migrant women. What are the things that you see in the ground? And also if this kind of violence creates, you know, a pattern of behavior. You all already mentioned this a bit before, but yes, since you are the expert, I wanted to ask you that for the audience. Thank you.
Well, repeated violence in like relationship, any kind of relationship, since childhood or when they get married, with their children, with anyone, it causes traumas. And when it happens repeatedly, it becomes a part of their life. Actually, it becomes something inside them, something that will make their world. And this is what we call in psychology PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Many people can experience it with even one trauma or with repeated traumas. It becomes harder and worse when it becomes complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, many symptoms are the same with other disorders. Like they have problem in their relationship, they have problem with themselves, they have different selves in themselves. Like a part of them is a child, a part of them is a police, a part of them is a person who is always nagging. They are different parts that it can, for some person who hasn't been working with traumas, they may call like hospital and say this person is psychotic, but that person is actually traumatized, and we just need to get inside that person and see what kind of traumas that person has been through, that the self is like dissociated. It's not oneself anymore because of trauma. Trauma is so deep. It can damage nerves, it can damage the brain. And because it's been repeated for many years, so just getting rid of it is so hard. But the first step, as I said, is to realize that there is something wrong and I need to seek for help. And what is important for us is to find those spots that cause the trauma, that cause this person get into that trauma. They are patterns that repeat again and again and again. The cycle, that cycle of violence. Where it comes, when the trauma happens, it affects our part of brain called amygdala. Amygdala is a part that control our fear, and trauma cause that part becomes so sensitive. So that person will be always afraid. Someone is following me. Someone is like talking to me. There are a lot of these things that you can hear. So that person think that she's getting crazy. You can hear this a lot. But when we say no, that's because of trauma, and we describe it to them, they will realize it. Many of them have severe depression. Many of them are suffering from panic attacks. Many of them freeze. They are very common. They are very common. And many of them, the worst part is that they get trapped in the same pattern of relationship, abusive relationship, because they are so hurt inside that they seek for love, they seek for touch, they seek for a person who gives them a little bit love. So if one person shows like a little bit of that love and say even this phrase, you are a very wonderful woman, that person gets in trap again. And without knowing another person very well, that other person can be another abusive person, because unfortunately abusers know how to trap women. They know what are the things that women are looking for. Vulnerable women are looking for a little bit of help, a little bit of love. And then the control will start, the fear will start, and the same cycle again.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you if you think that, perpetrators and abusers, they know these patterns, but it's obvious that they do, because otherwise they wouldn't be as successful as they are. So your work of putting into words what they are experiencing is very important, because maybe something clicks in their brain, or in their something is going to disrupt this pattern that they find themselves in.
Exactly. The important thing about that cycle that I showed you is that they find what they have been experienced through that cycle. For example, when that violence happens, they are shocked. After that, what will happen is that abuser is feeling like bad, and want to apologize, want to say that nothing has happened, like we can move on and all these things, then okay, things will be okay for a while. But again, the abuser will show little by little that abusive reaction again, and it becomes like a tension for that person. Okay, what is going to happen again? What have I done again? Why it's happening? Why this person is not the same person? Again, that person becomes confused. And after that, when the tension is built, again, it becomes leads to that violence, and that person will face another trauma again. Again, that person decides to leave because it's trauma, it's violence again. But it starts, I'm sorry, I love you, it's the last time, I'm a bad person, I'm a monster, I want to change, I couldn't control myself, you made me to be angry, you did something to make me angry. And that person, because the woman loves that man, of course that woman don't want to just give up. It's a commitment. They feel the relationship is a commitment, so they want to try again. And that big question mark of what is happening, I want to help that man, they want to be that man's hero, like I want to help that man to get through this. It comes from our culture a lot, like I need to help that man, I cannot just leave him. So again and again and again, these patterns repeat again. And when we talk about this pattern, you cannot imagine how helpful it is to them. Like they look at me so shocked, like, yes, that's exactly like what I have been experiencing. And it gives them like some relief that, yeah, so that's the thing that happened. Like a big question mark will be revealed to them, and this really helped them to go through it.
And the women that come to your association, you mentioned religious violence before. Also seen on your website that there's a lot of women who are victims of, honor. I'm. I mean, it's a very contested term, but of honor-related violence. What are the kinds of violence that you see daily or regularly at Monika Association?
Well, I talk usually very openly. So um, usually in our religious or our cultures, I mean generally, not Iranian, is that the woman has to be a virgin when she wanna get married. And when that has been lost, that person will expose to many things. That other person, that abuser, can say that you're like just a whore, and if you don't have any other choice to just be with me. Many times we have seen that women, especially young women, will just trust another man, and they send photos like they have fun together, and that man will take photos, will take videos, and when that woman wanna leave that man, they say, well, I'm gonna really reveal all of these things, I'm gonna send all of these things to your parents, to families, to everyone, and I'm gonna humiliate you. So that woman has to stay. Many other same things happens because they say that you are a woman, you are dependent to a man, you need a man, and you will be raped if you are not with your husband. But no one cares that they are actually being raped every night, every day with that man. So they think that women cannot protect themselves if They are not with another man. And this has been built. The seed is there in a woman brain. So I cannot do anything without that man. And if that man has some photos of me, if I have married to that man, I don't have any other chance with others, I'm like always a whore. There are a lot of these things that we hear from that. And they say like, you are mine. You have no other choice.
Okay. It must be very tough to, first of all, to see the pain, such a pain in women's lives, and then having to address that. So that's what I wanted to move on to, so we could end on a more or less less dramatic note. Though it doesn't take away the drama that is these women's lives. But I was wondering, you already touched upon this a little bit, but how can women come and heal? Like, what would be the necessary steps besides those that you said for a woman to be partially recovered from violence they have suffered? What do you do to enhance their mental health, their mental being, for them to feel confident in themselves again? What is more or less the process within the association?
Well, I have to say we do like our service in different way. We have chat, we have phone call, and we have face-to-face also service. Our phone calls, our whole organization is anonymous, and nothing will go to anywhere, anyone. They can call here and we don't see even their phone number. They can chat to us, we don't know who they are. And it's just so easy. They can like write Monika, a crisis center Monika, and all the information are there when they can call. And when our chats are open, we are in different languages. Our workers itself provide different languages, so they don't even need like another person to do the translate. But even if we don't have that, we get like a translator, so they can use that person. But still, it's anonymous because it's on phone, so they don't see that other person actually. And the first step is that they realize they don't need to be alone. They don't need to be isolated anymore, because what that abuser is building is a controlled environment that you feel alone, you feel isolated. So the first step is that you need to get out of that isolation. Get your phone and make a phone call. You're not going to lose anything. You're just making a phone call. So maybe that phone call even can help you and give you some lead. And after that, we do the rest of the work.
I don't know if if it's private information. If it's private, please do tell me. I don't mind. But when you say you work to make women feel better, for example, do you have any group activities, any physical activities to reconnect, the mind and the body together? I don't know. Do you have any activities with painting, drawing? If you can share, of course, help women out when, yeah, when they need to recover their sense of self and worth.
Um, we have each one of us have their own techniques, and that psychosocial support that we have, they are like different. We use different psychological techniques actually. We have also group therapies, but first, when they are in the crisis situation, they just need one person. They don't want to be in a group, especially when they come from like a specific culture. They don't want that other person that is from same culture that might know that person knows her. So at first they don't really want to be in a group, but we have group therapies. The techniques that I can say from myself, the techniques that I use is EMDR. That is for specifically for trauma therapy, and we use meditations. We use different techniques for anger management, talking to empty chair, writing them down, and mostly feeling their feelings. All of them is about one thing. You have to feel your feelings to be one again. You have to get rid of that anger. We even have boxing. So we usually get the woman there to box, and it's okay. It's okay, because many of them they say that, no, I don't want to hit, I will be like that person. You're not hitting that person, you are just getting out of your anger. So there are different techniques to actually wake up all that emotions that they have burdened them, because they say, no, I'm fine, I'm not sad. No, you have to get all those emotions out of yourself. So we use actually different psychological techniques, but it's actually after they are out of that crisis situation, because at that crisis situation, the most thing they need is that, how can I apply like for money? How can I apply for house? How can I apply for divorce papers? How can I apply for lawyer? These are the things that we do when the person is in crisis situation. After she got out of that, everything is settled. That's the time that we can help with psychological techniques. But we are not therapists here. So we always tell them that if you have like severe symptoms, you have to go to doctor. If you have like a very deep depression, very like deep panic attacks, you need a therapist, a real psychological therapist, because we are not therapists here, but we use the techniques that can help that person to get better.
And I guess also after they move on, if they want to the integration center, they can really focus on more social activities, getting out there, having a social life, filling those parts of their life that were lost. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, that's exactly what our integration part do. Like after that, okay, now it's time to learn some language, be with others, and other things that they didn't do.
Okay, so the three structures are very complementary with each other, and they allow women to move up a bit in their scale of of less pain. I would say, I don't really know the words, but it enhances them to go through all those stages and towards healing and good well-being in their lives. Okay. We are approaching the end. For our audience who is watching us, please, if you have any question for Hani, please put it in the chat. I wanted to ask you, Hani, if you could, since we are framing our talk in the 16 days of activism against male violence, I wanted to ask you, why is it important for you to be here?
Sorry, I lost the connection.
I'm sorry. I think it's my connection that is bad. I just wanted to hear if you had any last words, since we are talking about violence. We are framing this talk under the topic of all the violence that is used by males, mostly against women and girls. I was wondering if you had any last words on this violence, or if you wanted to share anything with us as your last words.
Yeah. First, I want to talk to parents that they have boys. Let just forget this. How to be a man with hiding your emotions, with not crying, and just learn your son to be a better person, to feel the emotions and even cry. It's okay. It's okay. We have to start from somewhere. And our picture of being a man is wrong. Asking for help, men, if you watch this, parents, if you watch this, teach your man, teach your son to ask for help. This is important. The second, women, you don't need to be alone. You have been strong enough. It's time to get help. Getting help, it doesn't mean that you are weak. It means that you are so strong that you can ask for help. And we are not enemies with men. Men are not monsters. But just please ask for help. There are other ways than violence.
Thank you so much, Haniyeh. I was just sharing our mental health reports and on migrant women because I wanted to give the audience the chance to read what your organization has said about domestic violence. So I'm leaving that in the chat. But yes, I wanted to thank you very, very much for representing our member tonight and to address this is lagging again. Can you hear me? Hani?
Sorry. Now that you ask, can you hear me? But I
You are
couldn't hear.
muted.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I wanted to thank you on behalf of our network for being with us here tonight and for helping us understand some mechanisms that abusers use and to help us understand how women can move forward. I thank you very much for your precious
Thank you.
insight tonight.
Yeah, thank you for this very nice project. Thank you a lot. And I'm so happy I'm a part of it.
We are happy to. So yeah, I want to thank you again. I'm just reminding the audience that we will upload this video on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe so you can hear all the wonderful women we have interviewed so far. And yes, I want to wish you a very good night and keep up the good work that you do for women and girls, and specifically migrant women and girls in over there in Finland. It's much needed.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the time. Hope I could answer the questions.
Everything was perfect and very much on point.
Yeah,
Thank you a lot. And
thanks.
actually, you're being thanked on the chat. So I think that everything was
Yeah,
great.
thanks.
I wish you a good night and I hope to see you soon in Helsinki for our General Assembly.
Sure. I would love to.
Bye. Have a great
Bye-bye.
night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.